Hello, CSEers. It is Thursday, October the 19th, 2017, and this is episode 18 of CSE's Conquering Content. I am Stephen Trustrom, the content manager at CSE, and today we're going to be talking about content as marketing. Now, this is something that we've touched on in just about every other aspect of the Conquering Content videos, but now we're going to be more direct about how content serves your marketing. And the first of that is you have to consider what your goal is. What is it you want your content to do with regards to your marketing? What is it you're trying to sell? What message are you trying to push out? Whatever. So normally you would build a marketing campaign or promotional efforts very bluntly. This is what we're selling. Here's why you should buy it. And the focus is actually on the product itself. Now, content as marketing is, as we were talking about in the other episode about blogs, it's about selling your message or pushing towards a goal and endpoint without doing it directly, taking it from a sideways position. So that's more topical. So content as marketing is you create content around your goal, what you're trying to promote, what you're trying to sell, and you put topics around it. You present discussions around that marketing effort as opposed to just providing information. So normally the marketing or promotional journey is around features, benefits, and messaging. And those are your focuses. Those are the three foundations, and I've talked about this before. So the features are what comprises your product if it's an event. So that'd be like who's speaking at the event, where is it, what is it they're talking about, and how long is it, how much experience does the speaker have. If you're talking about it as a piece of physical products, for example, a computer, it'd be how big is the screen, how fast is it, how big is the hard drive, does it touch screen, or does the screen come off into a tablet? Those are features. The benefits are what those features combine together to do for you. So great, this computer has this screen, it's faster. Yes, the screen comes off and turns into a tablet, but what does that mean to you, the consumer? It means it's accessible as a mobile device, it's fast, it provides quick Wi-Fi access, the screen makes viewing videos easy. Those are the benefits. And the messaging is how you wrap all that up in your pitch to your chosen market, to your audience. So it would be, if your chosen market is, say, younger people for this laptop, your message would be why it's great to take away for your first year at university, or why it's great for, taking out to the park to put quick videos together, quickly edit videos and post them online of your skateboarding tricks. That's the messaging, how you frame it towards your audience. And that's standard for most marketing, like be it just a print magazine ad to an events page on the CSA.com website. Okay, so those are the three things: features, benefits, and messaging. But when you create content as marketing, it's different. The focus is on the messaging. Okay, the message is pretty much it, because you're not really talking about the endpoint itself. So, for example, if we have an event, conference is next week. So if I was creating content around CSA conference, which I have done, I wouldn't sit there and talk about conference. I wouldn't say, this is what's going on at CSA conference, this is why it's great, and this is what we'll be doing. That's not what I would do. What I would do is I would say contact a content contributor who is in the events coordination industry, and would say, talk to us about how you get people to register for your conference, or talk to us about how you can get people to make better use of their time on a trade show floor. So these are topics that are related to the product, but are not about that specific product. Okay, it's topical. It's something that someone who would be interested in going to conference might want to hear. And then, because obviously it has to point somewhere, they read through the content, and at the end is a call to action, which is, and if you found this article interesting, keep in mind, CSE conference is next week in St. John's. Here's where you click to register. So there is a call to action at the end. And that is how content as marketing works. Okay, it's all about engaging the audience through conversation, through a back and forth, rather than just going and giving them an information dump, dates, times, prices, and stuff like that. When you provide content as marketing, you don't even really have to, and you shouldn't, provide the prices in that content. So, for example, that article that we have that points towards CSE conference at the end, I'm not going to put, and this is how much registration costs, yada, yada, yada. None of that is necessary because you're talking about the content. When they click on the call to action, they then go to the registration page that deals with all that. That's where the information dump happens, okay? And it's important that you keep that level of detail out of it. The features, the benefits of your product should not enter into your content when you're using content as a marketing tool, okay? Don't put it there because then you're confusing the issue and your audience really will see it as a sales pitch. They won't walk away saying, well, that was interesting. They'll be like, oh, I see where this is going. It was all just a handshake to try and get their foot in my door so they can say, let me show you what I want to sell you. And people really are that smart. It's because they're dealing so much online with for purchasing products, it's become almost instinctive at this point for people to spot that kind of stuff. So keep all those levels of details out of your content, okay, when you're marketing something. Remember, it's the content. The content is the engagement that then lets your call to action do the work. And the call to action goes at the end as opposed to the beginning because it is really the sales pitch point of the content. It's all contained in a paragraph. Shouldn't be more than a paragraph. Okay, if it's more than a short paragraph, then you're getting into the level of detail that should really be at the point where they're clicking and going to. That should be over there, all right? You want them to go through your call to action quickly and be driven to click and go to wherever your endpoint is, whatever it is you're marketing. If you put that at the beginning, again, most people are going to go, oh, sales pitch. They're not going to care about what your content is. They're not going to go beyond it. So call to action at the end. So it's also important when you're doing content as marketing that the clicks between where they enter your content and where you're driving them to are as few as possible. So ideally, you've got them coming in at a specific point and going right off to your endpoint. So using CSAE blog, I go and we'll post social media posts saying, hey, this blog is about this. Click here, they go read the blog, and then they get to the call to action. So it's 2 clicks from social media to the blog, from the blog to the call to action. Pretty quick journey. Now, if there's much more than that, people start to, it's almost exponential with each extra click, the chance of them disappearing. Okay, you may not think there's a big difference between 1 or 2 clicks, but it's massive. Okay, that's why you see a lot of online retailers like Amazon who pioneered the science behind online retailing. They have that 1-click buy option now because they realize that they've got the amount, the sheer volume of metrics to say yes, those 2 clicks is far worse than just 1 click. So it's very important to keep that in mind. And that's why social media should be used to push people to your main content and thus to your call to action as quickly as possible. Again, you don't want to give too much of the story away in social media, or they might go, I know all I need to know, I've got a good idea about it, and they don't really follow towards your content to solve the mystery of what you're trying to tell them. So remember, social media, quick, just something like just really you're trying to get them to click through to your content. Content tells the story down to the call to action. And this 1-click mentality also really stands for what is in the content itself. So I see a lot of mistakes in content where I sometimes it's unavoidable, but I really try to keep the amount of links inside of my blog, for example, to a minimum that go elsewhere. Sometimes you have to because you're citing a source or something, so it's like, this is taken from this source, and they can follow the link there. You do that because it's courtesy to your source material as opposed to footnoting it, but it's also something that's expected by your audience. That's how online information reference works. But I try and keep that to a minimum because every link you have between the start of your content and your call to action is a chance for them to go elsewhere, and they're not necessarily going to come back. So after they go check that reference, they might go, Well, I'm actually interested in what this reference has to say. I'm going to stay here and read this. And well, because they've got an analysis and a report on what this information says, so I don't really have to go back to that blog that brought me here to see what they have to say. I like what these guys are saying. So every time you put a link like that within the content before your call to action, just be aware you're creating a chance that they'll go elsewhere and leave. Now, for that same intent, it's very important on how you put other aspects of content and marketing around this primary content. That means, how do they access your social media from your content page? On CSE, we have the side of the page is the social media links. So they're present, but they're not. They're always, they go up and down with the page. So as you scroll, they stay on the screen. They're not static. So they're there. So anytime someone goes, hey, I really want to share this on Facebook, boom, they can go to the side of the page and click it. But they're off to the side and they're not overlapping with the content. So it's not detracting from it. It's not drawing people away. So when I see people who have social media links directly at the top of the content, like right at the blog, there they are, or they have the go visit our Facebook page off of a content page, where you're actually sending them to your Facebook page when your Facebook page should be sending them to your content. That's the kind of thing you got to avoid for the same reason. Reduce the amount of chances they have to leave and not come back. And this goes for if you say your content is a newsletter as opposed to a blog. Don't put your sponsors at the top of your newsletter before they get to the message. Okay, introduce what you're doing, talk about it, and then put the sponsors there. Say, now that I've told you what these guys are sponsoring, here's who the sponsors are. Don't start with, hey, look at our sponsors, and here's what they're sponsoring. Okay, you get it backwards, but I see that happen. Same token, when you're talking about, and I had a talk with a CSE network the other day about this when they sent us the newsletter, or their monthly newsletter, and asked for my opinion. I saw that they had the information, then they had the location, and the hotel was linked so they could hop to the hotel off of that, and then they had the registration. So my suggestion to them was, maybe move the registration up and then give the location and then go off to the hotel. Because someone can go off to the hotel and you might think, well, of course they're going to come back from the hotel site, but you don't know they are, because that's time spent. People go, oh, I'm going to go look at the hotel. Oh, Bob, I forgot we had a meeting. Let's go. So they've lost that time because you sent them elsewhere, and then you're just hoping they come back to the page. So you really have to think about that. And another important reason is that I can't remember if this is the exact number because it's been a while since I read the study, but I do recall there was a study on how online retailership has really altered the conversion funnel. And if you're in marketing, you know what the conversion funnel is. It's it funnels down, and each step brings you closer to conversion, but it gets narrower because each step also means fewer people are in the funnel anymore. So you try and keep the funnel from start point to of a lead to converting that into a sale or whatever as short as possible. So the research in this study said that 70 to 80% of consumers have already done a lot of their research into a product or an event or whatever, or a topic, before coming to someone who's selling that. Now, it's a little different for associations because of the relationship between the audience and an association. So especially when it comes to events, because if someone's offering a webinar on a specific topic, how do they go and research other webinars, right? It's not something that usually happens, but it speaks to the mentality of the audience being more informed. They want things done much quicker. They want a quicker turnaround. They want a briefer process in what they're doing. So this is why content as marketing is so much more important these days. And instead of just going, here's the information, I'm shoving you the information in front of your face, they want that information, but they don't want to spend the time reading it, and they don't want to really put the time into muddle through it. So it's really good to wrap it into something that will engage them and will get them to read it, and they will be interested in it, and that's where content as marketing comes in. Okay, so that's the essentials of content as marketing. Just keep in mind The messaging is the most important thing, and the details are actually secondary. And that's going to be counterintuitive for a lot of people, especially if you're old school marketers. You started marketing pre-internet days, or that was your primary focus before switching to online marketing and volunteering with your not-for-profit organization. But it's essential. That's just how the online market works, is engage, 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 and then sell. Okay, and that's what's going to get you the results. If selling is your primary focus of your content, it's going to fail more often than not, because your audience just isn't going to care. And that's what it's all about, is getting people to care. A former employer of mine told me this very simple phrase, and I will never forget it. It's about the leads and not the likes when it comes to online content marketing. Okay, likes are great on social media, they're wonderful, the equivalent for, you know, when people come to your blog or whatever, but it doesn't matter if they're not converted into a lead. And that's what content is marketing will do for you. So that is this episode of Conquering Content. Again, I am Steve Trustrom, Manager of Content here at CSAE. If you have any comments on this video or what I was covering, what I was saying, have any questions, leave them in the content area wherever you find the video. Or you can send me an email at Stephen with a V, that's Stephen@csae.com. And same goes for if you have any topic ideas, anything brand new you would like to see me address. Or as these videos come out, you'll see that a lot of the content tends to string together into an overarching context. So if you have any questions or comments about that, by all means, email me, leave them there in the comment section. Until next time.